This is detailed ad group level reporting for HubSpot and Databox I'll explain how to do ad level and campaign level right in as well. And we're going to end with a real ad group level cost per contact. That's the most important part. So it all starts with workflows. You need to take things that HubSpot knows and make them things that Databox can report on. So you start with workflows that check for these ads interactions properties. These are the holy grail of HubSpot's ad analytics to me, because they have a lot of information that is really hard to get anywhere else. And with a couple workflows, you can report on it in HubSpot really easily, and in Databox with just a little bit more effort. So what I have here are a bunch of ad groups for a client. And when someone comes in through one of those ad groups, HubSpot is using this ads interactions, and then it has all these keyword IDs, campaign IDs, ad type, ad name. I use IDs because then I can change the name over in LinkedIn or Google, and it won't change how this workflow works. So I always use the ID. It shows up as a list with the names too, usually. So a lot of these have the names. And so you create a workflow like this one that I have here. This checks their ad group. This does it on the ad group level. You can use the ad ID and do it on the ad level, and you can use the campaign ID and do it on the campaign level. So this one populates a property called Google Ad Group Interactions, and it's a multi-select property. So every time someone clicks one of these ads, if they're a contact in HubSpot for my client, they get another one of these ads added to the list. So they'll sometimes have more than one on here. What we use this to report on is the total that have clicked on a certain ad. So they'll have this added to them, whether their original source is paid search, they'll have this added to them, whether it was the first or the second ad they clicked on. For some of my reporting, I do focus on last touch, but this does extend to being able to show sort of like what is the influence that your advertising is having, even when it's not the last or first touch, right? So you make a workflow like this. It's relatively straightforward. It's an if-then that checks their ads interaction information, and then it populates a new property, for in this case called Google Ad Group Interactions, with these fields. Hop over to Databox, and we have some example stuff already using this. I've just been kind of playing with this as I've been making these tutorials. Where am I at? 3 minutes already. Okay, so in Databox, you can then break this out as a dimension of your contacts. So you can see here we have a line graph that's automatically breaking out my ad groups into how many new contacts those ad groups have gotten in the last week, right? I can do this for any amount of time. Cool Databox stuff. The real cost per contact comes in by taking, you have a property from Google Ads called cost, right? You can customize it to an ad group or even an ad. Cost by ad group. Ad is a little tougher, but usually, actually for Google, I don't know if you can do it down to the ad, but for LinkedIn and Facebook, you usually can. Depends on if you're using dynamic creative. So cost by campaign by ad group, cost by campaign. These numbers tell us, right? We have our ad groups, which correspond to those properties we already made. These will give us the dollar amounts from Google that were spent on those ad groups. Then with a calculated property like this, we have the ad cost from Google for that ad group, and then the contacts that were generated from that ad group, given the properties that we defined for those ad groups. So this tells you this is how much we spent on those ads, and these are the two contact amounts that we got from those ads, and there we got our cost per contact. It's a real cost per contact. You can do a lot with this that Google just won't let you do. Makes it difficult, makes it hard. You can break this out by ad group, by form, by the first page on the site that they landed on, all kinds of stuff like that. The costs get a little limiting, especially on Google. You're not going to be able to break out costs beyond ad group for most types of Google ad. I use a lot of responsive search ads, so that's out of the question here. I guess the only problem I see is that I can imagine a world where Databox can report on these ads interactions and I wouldn't have to make those workflows. But given that this is so much more information than I'm used to being able to get, and I've been doing this for my clients, and it's making it much easier for me to optimize and also report on them on what they really care about, like what are the key messages that are having an impact, not are we succeeding or failing, what are the on campaign level there's a lot of vagueness. So getting these drill downs has been important to my optimizations, but also to some of my clients who are very concerned with what parts of their messaging are resonating better or worse on a platform.